So today we're talking about how to let go of resentment in your relationship, a really common experience that we all have.
Right. And it's really a very, very important topic because every couple goes through it where there's boundaries that are being impacted. And if it piles up too much, it certainly isn't good for the relationship.
Yeah, that's great. The idea of boundaries that we all need to learn, like what are our limits? If our limits are being crossed either by pressure on ourselves or by pressure in the relationship from a partner, we are going to feel frustration and resentment. And then we need to know what to do with that. How do we express that? How do we get heard about that? And how do we let it go?
Right. And the other wonderful thing about this topic, which is so important, is that you can also be able to see when your partner's boundaries are occurring and when resentments are happening for them.
When you say your partner's boundaries are occurring, what do you mean by that?
Well, what I mean is that you can actually perceive that your partner is activated in some way. It might be something that's going on internalized for them about what they're doing, or it might be something that they're reacting to about you.
So I think what you're saying,
Yeah.
let me know if I'm getting this right, is that not only becoming aware of when your own resentments are starting to show up, but that you can pick up on when your partner, if they're irritated or frustrated, there's a chance that they may be storing resentment, and you can get curious about that in them as well.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Very much so.
So thanks for that. So I think that, and I like that Brene Brown talks about resentment as a kind of sister to perfectionism. In other words, often resentment is that I have very, very high expectations of myself, which I do, as it happens, and that, I have to live into those. And if I see somebody else who's sort of relaxing into hanging out or reading a book, Tim's reading a book, and I'm like, what are you doing? I thought we had a lot of work to get done. And I feel that kind of resentment. It's really not about him. It's about me. So learning about yourself and your expectations of yourself and how to relax those a little bit or make decisions around your own limitations is also going to help reduce relational resentments.
Right. And that certainly happens in our relationship when we're two different people doing different things, and it can happen so easily. And once it happens, one of the things that can occur is that culturally, a lot of times we are used to defending ourselves. So if Anna brings resentment to me and we don't do it in a way where I feel that I can hear her, what I'm going to do is just try to defend myself over and over and over again. And that old reptilian brain gets activated, and I really am in the position of just putting up my armor and defending myself.
And if I approach Tim in a way that is going to unconsciously or maybe subconsciously kind of ignite that armor in him, why am I doing that? And it might be that there's a part of me that wants to create disconnect, that wants to push him away or maintain a sense of distance. So another underlying piece before we get to what do you do about this, how do you let it go, is how is it serving me to continue to express frustrations and resentment rather than to work that through in a conscious way? And often it's about holding on to, I wish you were different than you are, rather than holding on to and remembering all the things that you love and care for about your partner.
Right. And the other part of that is for me, if I am recognizing that Anna is, upset or communicating with me in a way that I go, oh, geez, something's up, and I just ignore it or I don't address it, which can be the case with me, then what's going to happen is it's going to continue without any type of real resolution or even finding a way to actually deal with whatever's going on.
So So what do? Right? Because if you just say, well, I'm just going to let this go. I'm frustrated with you, or I have a resentment, or I feel like there's an imbalance in responsibility. I'm just going to let it go. Likely that's going to engender even more anxiety in me and more disconnect between us.
And I like what you said, what you've said to me before about when you really feel that that's going to happen, then you become anxious that your boundaries are going to be pushed again in the future. And if you let it go once, the potential is that you're going to have to deal with it again or let it go again. And that just creates an ongoing cycle in many ways.
Whereas if I say, hey, something's going on for me and I'd like to talk to you about it, and can we use the intentional Imago dialogue to do that? That we both know and trust that will keep us safe to unpack what is happening between us.
Right.
And what you have said before is we wish that we'd had that tool when life was so different in that we had young children and different kinds of demands on us, and we didn't know how to do this. And we were really trying to understand what are our roles in the relationship, and how come you're doing this and I'm doing this, but we might be resenting some pieces of that. But once we learned the Imago intentional dialogue and we were able to invite each other to learn more about what was happening, that was a game changer.
Right. It's so valuable now, but and certainly for couples who are already, sort of in their middle ages, so to speak, that is, that's still can be very valuable. But for young couples, my goodness, I wish we had these tools then, and this understanding and awareness thing.
And an additional piece that we didn't understand at the time was that we were taking personally things that were not personal. So it is not personal. If your partner says, I want to talk to you about this, and can we have a dialogue, and they mirror, then we have the opportunity to get our own ego, our own self out of the way and really listen deeply to what our partner is expressing. We don't need to agree with them, but then we can land in, as you say, kind of curious, empathetic connection.
Right.
So it really makes sense that you're carrying a resentment around X, because when you do so much and you don't get appreciated for it, no wonder you feel this way. When we can land in that, our partner feels seen and heard, and we can move out of the resentment and into that lovely, loving, deep connection that we both yearn for.
And in doing that, then a lot of times the pressure dissipates, and also you end up being able to have the conversation and resolve what is going on and find ways to solve the issue.
Including maybe redefining roles or revisiting who's doing what. Some of that practical stuff might be an outcome, but it isn't the goal. But it might be a lovely outcome.
And as you said, what you've said to me before is ego gets in the way. And that is a major impactful thing on a relationship.
And I want to leave you with one more piece around a simple way also, an additional simple way to let go of a resentment, which is to remember what happens on the other side of a dialogue, or on the other side of making love, or on the other side of a wonderful experience together, which is that lovely feeling of connection. You know you've had it. And if you've had it, you can get it again. So remembering love, remembering connection, in addition to the work of the relationship, is a really important thing to practice. Mm-hmm. So thank you for joining us today. And we can continue, of course, this discussion among many others around letting go of resentment and moving into more conscious connection. We invite you to visit our website at Replenish Relationships. We offer free 15-minute Zoom sessions to anyone who is curious about our workshops or retreats. We can meet one another and answer any questions you may have.
And we would love if you could give us a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more content on how to create the relationship of your dreams.